Yeah, there's a couple goals for the work. I mean, one is we learn a lot about human cognition and how humans learn, and that has all kinds of relevance for thinking about things like education and how to teach children. The other thing that we learn is kind of how best to train animals. We've thousands of service dogs working to help our military. We have dogs in clinical training programs, kind of working as therapy dogs. By understanding even just how dogs make sense of the world, we learn all kinds of important things about how to help both dogs and how to help humans too. Yeah, when I think about kind of training my own postdocs and the kinds of things I wish I had had time to develop as myself, I think the best thing to think about is this issue of time management. How are you going to put the right skills and the right habits in place that you'll take with you from your postdoctoral years into being an assistant professor? And this is a little bit related to some of the work that I study as a psychologist, this question of how do you make things easy for yourself? If you're constantly juggling review papers and when do I spend time working on my lectures and things, if every one of those is a complex decision, it gets really hard. And what we as psychologists know is that if you could put habits in place, you can make your life a lot easier. It's kind of like brushing your teeth, right? You don't have to think and make a decision, well, when am I gonna brush my teeth? When am I gonna squeeze it in? You just know to do it because you do it all the time. And so the question for postdocs is, what can you put in place now that you get good at, that becomes like brushing your teeth, that you do all the time, that you won't have to think about when you go to the next level?
So give us an example.
So one example of a habit I think it'd be great for postdocs to put in place early is the habit of carving time to do your writing. Ultimately, in whatever field you're in, your success as an academic is going to be defined by the papers that you put out, the papers that wind up on your CV, and somehow you have to find time to write those. Unlike other kinds of jobs you face as an assistant professor, nobody's going to be needling you to do that. It's not going to be like undergrads that email for their grades or a committee that's sort of scheduling you into a particular time in your schedule. You have to find time to do that. And if you're constantly picking specific times or trying to squeeze it in, it's just not going to work. So my advice is to try to create the good habit of scheduling writing time early on in your postdoc. And as psychologists, we know that means doing it every day at a specific time, no matter what. Find time in your much more flexible postdoc schedule to get this in and just make it something that you get good at doing every day. You don't have to be great at it every day, you just have to do it. And then slowly it'll become like brushing your teeth. And you're hopefully when you move from your postdoc to an assistant professor, you'll continue brushing your teeth in your life. And the idea is maybe you'll do the same thing with your writing. It'll just make it much, much easier.